Hey everyone, so glad that you're here for the final week of a series we're calling What Was I Made For? In this series, we've been spending our time talking about our identity, and today we're going to continue that conversation. And so to get us started, I'd love to know, have any of you ever been teased? And I'm not talking about like really intense bullying, I'm talking about small picks, things that are meant to be jokes. Whether it's for something big or something small, have you ever been teased? Man, I know I have. And I think of a time when I was in middle school, I went on a field trip to Lake Tobias, which is an animal park. And there I heard that there were a couple of deer that they had that were more related to elk than like our deer around here. And when I heard that, it was really cool to me. I was super excited. And I went home that night and I was talking to my family, and it ended up getting translated into something like, deer aren't really deer, they're elk. Well, that came out of my mouth, and as a youngest sibling, my older siblings had a field day. And to this day, whenever they want to pick on me a little bit, they'll bring up that deer aren't really deer, they're elk. But when they made fun of me back then, I remember that even though I didn't want to let it show, it hurt my feelings so much. I just remember telling myself, don't let them see that it hurt you. Don't let them know that you are upset. And so you know what I did? I would just pick right back. I just jump right in and go right after them too. And if I'm honest though, I thought about that comment for a really long time. In fact, for years, it stuck with me. But here's the thing. In those moments when we're being picked on, we often try to pretend that it doesn't hurt us. Or we pretend that others' opinions of us don't matter. We'll just pick back or go silent and move on. No harm, no foul, right? Wrong. If we're honest, later on, when we're alone or we have time to think about it, we realize that it did hurt. That the words that they said, the ones we pretended didn't hurt us, begin to hurt. We know that what they said was supposed to be a joke, but it doesn't feel like it now. And we start to wonder if maybe they're right about us. Sometimes we aren't teased directly, it happens through gossip. Sometimes it's through what people are saying about us behind our back or the rumors that people are spreading about us. And my question is, why do we allow people, what they say about us and the opinions that they have of us to take over our lives and our thoughts? Why do we give so much power to people who really don't have any authority to say anything about us? They don't really know you. They don't know the real you or who you are. And so the question continues, why do we continue to let someone else's opinion have power over us? When we focus on the things that others are saying about us, what we do is we actually lose sight of who we really are and who we were created to be. When we let other people write our story for us, we miss out on the story that God has already been writing and is currently writing for our lives. We can lose focus on the things that God says about us. And so thousands of years ago, a man named David wrote about this very issue. Now David, he's a pretty famous person in the history of Israel. He fought the giant Goliath and he won. He became the king of Israel. He's also a pretty accomplished songwriter. And what we're about to dig into actually comes from one of the most famous songs he ever wrote. In fact, it's from one of the most famous passages of scripture ever written. And so David wrote a song that goes like this. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion. As I was woven together in the dark of the womb, you saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. How precious are your thoughts about me, God. They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand. And when I wake up, you are still with me. So now don't miss the meaning that David was trying to make sure that we know. In the end, God is the one who created you. God formed you in the womb. David wrote that God knows what's going on in your life. God sees what you're doing, and not just sees it, but cares about it. No matter what you're going through, no matter what someone says about you, God is always there. And you are known by the creator of the universe. God knows your name. God knows what you're like and what you like. God knows all of the things that are making you feel all of the ways that you feel. God knows when you're happy and when you're sad. God knows about the rumors being spread. And God knows the things that no one else knows about you. And what's more, God cares about that. And God cares about you. Not only does God know you, but God thinks about you a lot. Have you ever considered that? Have you ever thought about the fact that the creator of the universe thinks about you, and you are a really big deal to God? And so the question is, what do you and I do with that? So here's what I'd love for you to consider. When someone says unkind things about you, you're gonna almost always be left with thoughts and feelings and maybe embarrassment about whatever was said. But the person who said them isn't really thinking about you anymore, but you're still thinking about those words. And in those moments, I want to encourage you to remind yourself that God is constantly thinking about you. And when God thinks about you, God thinks good things. Why? Because God made you and he loves you. God sent Jesus to die for you, and he brought Jesus back to life so that he can have a relationship with you. God made you wonderfully and marvelously. No matter what anyone else says about you, this is the truth, that what God says about you matters the most. And that's true because the creator of the universe and the creator of you says that it's true about you. And so the only person who has the authority to say anything about you is the one who made you. So the next time someone says something about you and you find your thoughts taken over by their words, remember this: I am made for more than what others think of me. I want you to ask yourself, how can you remember what God has said about you? How can you remember that you are more than what others think of you? And so Collide, it's been great to be with you. We'll catch you next time.